Hi, Cody here, and welcome to my home office. Now, the reason I'm making this video today for you is because you attended our training yesterday on how to get more clients, so it's obviously something that's of interest to you, and I want to give you just a little bonus just to say thank you for showing up to that training. Now, what I've got for you here in just a few minutes is we put on a premium workshop last year on how to get clients, which sold out for $8,500. And I'm going to give you access to the first module of that right now for free. So this is absolutely some of my premium content, some of my best content, and like I said, it sold for $8,500 last year. So as a thank you, I'm going to give you access to that right now. So I think you're really going to enjoy this. There's some great information in it, and again, it's stuff you can take and you can apply it to your business, and it's going to really progress you as an entrepreneur, and it's really going to progress you as a business owner. So thank you very much for showing up. Thank you very much for your time. And I'll be back at the end of the video, so let's head on over to the training, and I really hope you get something out of this.
So hello and welcome to How to Enroll High-Paying Clients. My name is Cody Butler, and over the next 8 modules we're going to learn how to easily and effortlessly enroll high-paying clients into a coaching business without the need to be salesy or use high-P tactics or high-pressure tactics, any of that kind of stuff. So let's get started right away. So let's get right into this. Let's start with Module 1. So this module is called Principles of Influence and Persuasion, and this is a very, very important module because obviously in order to have any impact, in order to get clients to make a decision for us, to say yes to our service, then you have to influence them to do that. There's an element of influence, or a huge element of influence, and there's an element of persuasion. Although we're not influencing and we're not persuading in the traditional sense, this is a non-salesy form of influence and persuasion. We're going to get into that in more detail as we go through. So it's very important to master this process, because if we look at the business coaching model, if we look at the business coaching process as a whole, it looks something like this. So basically, we've got 3 moving parts to a coaching business. The first part is we need to collect qualified leads. We need to get people that want to talk to us, or are able to talk to you, that are qualified, that are able to purchase our service, that are qualified, that they need our service and they're going to benefit from our service. We need to collect qualified leads. Step 2 is we send those qualified leads into a sales process. We take those people that have raised their hand and said, yes, I'm interested, yes, I have a problem, I think you might be able to solve it, and we put them into a sales process. And this is where we are with this training process. Really, we're looking at the process of taking qualified leads and turning them into clients, The third part is then content delivery. So whether you deliver your content, whether you deliver your coaching on a one-to-one basis, in a group training program, as this program is, and I highly recommend that you look at this, because it's just a great way. It's a very profitable, very leveraged way to deliver training, and I highly recommend anybody that isn't currently offering a group coaching program, to really consider doing that. It's a very good way of doing it. Or it doesn't matter how you do it. You can do it as a mastermind or whatever, but basically you've got to have a form of content delivery. How do you deliver your process, or how do you deliver your coaching? So this essentially is the model for a coaching business. Step 1, collect leads. Step 2, have a sales process that turns those leads into customers. Step 3, have a content delivery system. How do you actually deliver your coaching? So if the sales process is not working, if you don't have an effective sales process, if you don't have a way to take qualified leads and turn them into prospective clients, then it doesn't matter how many qualified leads you get. I mean, if you're a master at collecting leads but you can't turn them into clients, then it just doesn't matter. It's just a waste of time and a waste of effort and a waste of money. And of course, if you can't collect leads, or if you can collect leads but you can't turn them into clients, then it doesn't matter what kind of content delivery system you have. It doesn't matter how you deliver your coaching, what your preferred method is, because you're simply not going to get to use it. If you can't generate clients, then you're not going to get to use it, so it doesn't matter. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's why this is very important, that the client enrollment process is very important, and it's why we're starting with that. So next, let's look at the Pareto principle. And the Pareto principle, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. It's basically the 80-20 rule. It says 80% of the fees generated in the coaching business will be generated by 20% of the coaches. And I think that's probably a little bit generous, actually, to the 20%. I would say it's more like 95% of the fees that are generated in the coaching industry are generated by 5% of all of the coaches out there. Um, I think everybody would agree with that. There's a lot of people in the coaching space, but there's very few people that are making money, and there's even fewer people that are making a lot of money. And the reason for that is the wrong mindset. Like I said earlier on, the mindset module is going to be really, really critical. So what we need, if we want to get into that 20% for sure, and if we want to get into the top 5%, which is where I would suggest that you all want to be, that should be your goal, to operate in the top 5%, it's going to require a mindset change, and we're going to look at that some more as we go on. So the first critical mindset point that is really, really very important to understand is you've got to change the way you look at prospective clients. You've got to start to think and believe and internalize that they need your help more than you need their business. There's a lot of potential clients out there. There's a lot of people out there that can become your clients, but there's very few people that can solve their problems. They need your help. You're doing them a service. You don't need their business as much as they need your help. And having that shift is going to really, really position you from a mindset perspective that's going to allow you to operate a lot better. It's going to allow you to serve at a higher level. It's going to allow you to function at a higher level, and ultimately it's going to allow you to get results at a higher level, because without this mindset change you're not going to get the results at the higher level. So critical mindset point, write it down, memorize it, internalize it, is that they need your help more than you need their business. And you always need to be approaching every prospective client, every prospect, every consultation, every enrollment session. Everything needs to be approached with that particular mindset. So let's get on to influence and persuasion now. So I'm going to talk in this module a lot about Robert Cialdini. Now, Robert Cialdini was a professor, I believe, at the University of Arizona, and he wrote a book, probably, I don't know, it's a while back now, 20 years or more, and it's became really sort of the industry-leading book on the psychology of persuasion. And what he did was he wanted to write a book that disarmed con men, that gave people the ability to. He wanted to expose tactics that con men are using, basically, that scams are using, and he wanted to give people the power to overcome those. So he wrote a book, Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion. Now, what he did actually was um, he wrote an extremely powerful marketing book, and this book, if this is the only book you ever read, then I would, as far as marketing and business goes, then I would suggest that this would be the book, because it's absolutely incredible. And he goes through the influence, the steps of influence that we're just not really able to resist. That we have certain inbuilt mechanisms in us. He calls them click-whir responses. That when those conditioned stimuluses are put in front of us, that we just react to them in an uncontrollable way. The caveat that I'd like to add to this before we go on is that once you have these principles, then there becomes an onus of responsibility to use them responsible, because you can use these principles to get people to do things that they don't want to do, that's not necessarily in their best interest. So before we go on and get into these principles, we need to understand that we need to use them in a responsible way, in a way that's honest, and we only need to be using these principles on people that can benefit from our service and really need our service. We don't want to use them to enroll people into our programs that not necessarily the best people, or not necessarily a great fit. So that said, let's get on to the 6 principles that I call irresistible influence. So, as I said earlier on, it's going to be very important to understand and to communicate these principles at all times in your marketing materials. So as we go through, if you look at the worksheet, then I've asked you to list 5 ways that you can apply these principles to your business, or each principle to your business. So every aspect of your business, everything that you're doing around your business, whether it be marketing material, or talking to people directly, or building a website, or sending an email, it doesn't matter. These principles, if you can start to incorporate these principles, and as many of them as possible, into all of your activity, then the results you're going to get are going to become vastly magnified and greatly increased. So that's why this is really, really critical, and why we're going to spend a whole module on actually learning this stuff. So let's go into what 6 principles are. I'm going to go through them quickly, and then we're going to spend a little bit more time. We're going to go into them in more detail. The first principle, as you can see, is social proof. The second principle is the principle of reciprocation. The third principle is the principle of commitment and consistency. The fourth principle is the principle of liking. Number 5 is authority. And number 6 is scarcity. Now, there's a couple more that aren't, he doesn't actually list as the principles, but are really tightly knitted into those, and we're going to cover those in some detail as well. Let's go into the principles in a little bit more detail. Let's cover them one at a time. So the first principle of influence, of persuasion and influence, is social proof. Now, when people are unsure, they will defer to the judgment of others. Now, probably the best example of this is referral business. I think we all know and agree that referral clients that have come from existing clients that have been referred to us, they're just awesome. That's the best kind of business you can get. There's no sales involved. They show up, they're ready to buy. The trust is there, the liking's already there. A lot of the other principles of influence already there. The authority is already there, and that all can be encompassed as social proof. Somebody recommending your service, somebody recommending you to them is the best example of social proof that there is. They don't know you personally, yet they're ready to invest in your product, invest in your service, and they know absolutely nothing about you. It's the social proof that they're actually ready to invest in. So the next best thing to that, obviously, and explains the importance of, is testimonials. Testimonials are a great source of social proof. When people don't really know who you are and they don't really know if your product is going to get the results, and there's no way for them to find that out without investing in it, then a testimonial or a multitude of testimonials is going to be really priceless. Really, really priceless. The more testimonials that you have, the better you're going to do. And to be honest, the more specific those testimonials are, the better you're going to do, and the more specific those testimonials are to the problem that you're speaking to. So if you're dealing with a potential client and you're offering find my soulmate type coaching, for example, just off the top of my head, then having testimonials from people that are now married, happily married in a relationship, and if you've got 20 of those or 30 of those, obviously that's going to be extremely, extremely powerful. Or weight loss, if you're selling weight loss fitness type coaching, and you can present a multitude of people that had the problems that your potential clients have, and now they have the results that your potential clients want, then that's going to be really, really powerful. And they're going to convert at people that are seeing those testimonials that are actually interested in considering your product. That's going to have almost the same effect as a referral. We're going to get into the other principles here in just a minute, but you'll start to see how we can stack these on top of each other to really become irresistible. So if we can add the principle of authority to social proof, now we're going to really, really start to see some powerful results. If somebody that's in a position of authority recommends your product or your service or whatever it is, then that becomes really, really powerful. And that's why sporting stars get paid huge amounts for endorsement deals. It's because it's social proof at the highest level, and large corporations understand the value of social proof, and they understand the value of authority, and so they take the authority of the sporting star or the movie star, and they infer that authority into their product by using social proof. So we're going to get into that in a little bit more detail, but quite often, and it's very desirable to start stacking these principles on top of each other to get a really, really powerful result. Next principle is reciprocation. Now this is a really interesting one. This is a really good one. Basically, reciprocation is when somebody does something for us, when somebody gives us something or does something for us, we have uncontrollable reflex response to reciprocate that back, and we can't rest and we can't be happy until that act of kindness or whatever it is has been reciprocated. A good example of this is if somebody buys us a coffee or a drink or whatever, if we're out with somebody, then we feel obligated to buy them a drink back. Now, the thing that Cialdini discovered in his book was that the level of reciprocation is not necessarily equal. So if you do something for somebody primarily, if you do something first, if you buy them a coffee, for example, and then you go on into a restaurant and you order lunch with that same person, then that the obligation is also can be also transferred into that lunch. So although you bought them, say, a $3 coffee or a $5 coffee, they then feel obligated to return that and to buy lunch. So another aspect of reciprocation that is not actually a principle, but I think it's very closely tied to the reciprocation principle that can be used very powerfully in a business situation, in a coaching situation, is concessions. Concessions also need to be reciprocated. So for example, if you offer your training program for $3,000 and you're talking to the prospect and they say, I'd really love to do it, but I just can't right now. I just can't. It's just too much money. If it was less, I'd do it for sure, 100%. But right now, I just can't extend to $3,000. If you make a concession in that situation, if you say, okay, well, ordinarily I wouldn't do this, but in this particular circumstance, I'm going to reduce the fee down to $1,800 because I hear what you say, and I hear you saying you can't afford the 3,000, but you really want to participate in the program. And to me, it's not about the money; it's about getting you the results. So instead of charging the 3 grand, I'm going to reduce the fees to 1,800. That's a concession that you've just made to that person, and that concession is going to need to be reciprocated. So chances are that it's going to be much harder for them to say no at the $1,800 price point. Now you've made a fairly sizable concession there. You've just made a $1,200 concession to them. The reality of the situation is you haven't. It feels to them like you've just given them $1,200 when the reality is you've actually just asked them for 1,800. But nevertheless, the principle still applies. So when you go from 3,000 down to 1,800, they're going to feel an obligation to reciprocate that back to you, and the chances of them enrolling at that point become considerably greater. So used with contrast as well, it's very powerful. So obviously going from 3,000, which is a higher price point, going down to $1,800, that's going to create a contrast of price, and the 1,800 is going to seem to be like a much lower price after doing that. A good example of that, and this is a great principle to write down and to learn, is you always want to go in with your highest price first. A lot of people are afraid to do that. They think that if they go in with their highest price, then it's going to put people off. But if you think about it like this, and this is an example that Cialdini uses in the book, is if a man goes into a suit shop wanting to buy a suit, and the salesperson shows him a $3,000 suit rather, excuse me, and the man that's gone into the shop says, well, that's very expensive. I can't afford a $3,000 suit right now. I was thinking it was going to be a little bit less. And the salesperson goes, well, that's okay. That's not a problem. How about why don't you take a look at this dress shirt? It's only $200. The chances of getting that $200 sale are considerably higher because you're contrasting it against a $3,000 price point. 200 compared to 3,000 is a much smaller number. Whereas if that particular client had walked into that suit shop and the salesman had said, have a look at this dress shirt, it's $200, then they're comparing the $200 against a Walmart shirt, or a cheap shirt that may be $20 or $30 on the high street, or somewhere else, depending where you are, and that looks very expensive, and there's absolutely no way you can go up to 3 grand after starting at 200. There's no way. If 200 is expensive or looks expensive to the person, then 3 grand is absolutely out of the question. Whereas if you start at 3,000, you can come down to 200, and you may get the sale still. Hope that makes sense. So our next principle is called commitment and consistency, and what this basically is that people have a deep down desire, a need to be seen to be consistent. And this works at a much deeper level than just the obvious. It's not just a verbal consistency to the people that you talk to. It's a self-internalized consistency, and your words have a lot of power. Your words have power on other people, and they also have a lot of power on yourself internally. They have a lot of power on what they do to you as well. So you want to keep that in mind. So with the commitment and consistency principle, when people make a commitment to something, they're much more likely to see that through, especially in public. Nobody wants to be seen to be going back on their word. There's nowhere in the world where it's looked upon as being honourable to go back on your word. It's looked down upon everywhere. So once a commitment is made, then it's much, much more likely that that person is going to see that commitment through due to this particular principle. Also in their mind, at an internal level, if you can get people to start agreeing with you, then it's very difficult for them to then go back on that. So, for example, if you can get people to agree verbally that their situation is unacceptable, if you're talking to a potential client, you say, well, is it acceptable where you are right now? Do you think that your position, do you accept where you are? Do you accept your place? Do you accept the way things are? And if they say no, I don't accept that, then that might not necessarily immediately turn into them becoming a client. There's not necessarily an outward benefit to that commitment, but internally it's going to set some wheels in motion that they're going to want to start moving in a direction that's consistent with the commitment they've just made to themselves. So if they say, no, this is not acceptable, I'm not happy to be where I am, this is not somewhere I want to be in 12 months from now, then something inside of them is going to start driving them towards that change. It's going to start driving them towards people that can effectuate that change, and hopefully if you're doing a great job, then that's going to be you. They're going to view you as that person. So next principle is a fairly obvious one, I think, and it's liking. There's not too much to say about that. We buy from people that we know, like, and trust. That's a fairly obvious one. I don't really need to say too much about this, but obviously it's impossible for us to sell to people that we don't like, and it's impossible for people that don't like us to buy from us. Keep in mind, people buy you first, then your product, then your business. So it's a very simple principle, but it's actually a very powerful and very important principle, because if people are not liking you, if you're not able to communicate your personality to the point that people can relate to you and they like you, then it's going to be very difficult for them. If they're not buying you, then it's very unlikely that they're going to buy your product. Now, there is an exception to this, and this is authority. Now, authority overrules liking. We can make decisions for people in authority that we don't like. Now, a great example of this is going to be the doctor. A doctor is, for most people, is in a position of authority, very high authority. And if we have an ailment or an illness and we go to the doctor, then we take his advice and we purchase his suggestion. Really, it's irrelevant whether we like that doctor or not. I mean, obviously it's better if we do, but you can really not like a doctor. You can go to a doctor's office and really not like that doctor at all, yet you still take his advice or her advice, and you still buy the prescription, you still spend your money on their recommendation. So it's not 100% true that we only buy from people that we like. That can be overruled, but we're not going to look to overrule that. We're going to look to be liked for sure. But the real takeaway here is that if you can stack authority with liking, if they like you, if your prospective client likes you, and you have authority, that's very, very powerful. That's a really, really powerful place to be in. And if we start to stack the other elements of social proof on top of that as well, so if they like you, potential client likes you, they perceive you as an authority in your industry, and you have social proof, then hopefully you can start to see where we're going with this here. You're starting to build a very, very, very powerful case for that person becoming a client without you really needing to sell them on the idea. They're gonna start to move towards you instead of you having to move towards them. And we're going to continue to kind of build on that theme a little bit as we go on. So the next principle is scarcity, and this is incredibly, 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 incredibly valuable and extremely important. We really want to get to understanding scarcity. Now, scarcity is a really difficult one to implement because it's very counterintuitive. It's very difficult to move away from something that you want. It's very difficult to let go of the outcome. But the thing is, we only place value on things that are scarce. That's it. I mean, look at why are diamonds worth more than glass? Because diamonds are scarce. Or are they actually? And it's an interesting story that there's some theories that the diamonds are not scarce at all. The scarcity has been fabricated to some extent by the diamond companies to keep the price high. But again, that just goes to illustrate the point that If it's not scarce, it doesn't have value, and the more scarce it is, the more value it has. Now, the reason I say that, and the reason I say that it's can be quite difficult sometimes to introduce scarcity, is because we're attached to an outcome. So to make your time scarce to a potential client is very difficult, because you want to respond to their emails, you want to take their phone calls, you want to talk to them, because that we help people. That's what we do. We enjoy helping people. We enjoy making that contribution, and it's just instinctive and it's just natural to get on the phone when somebody needs help. I think, yes, we're definitely in this business for money. There's no question about that. Let's just be honest and upfront. We all want to make money, I think, or most of us want to make money, but that's not the driving factor, or it's not the only factor. We definitely want to contribute and help people as well. And I know personally, and I know for a lot of people that I work with, it's really, really difficult not to offer help when somebody's asking for it. But the issue with that then becomes that if your help is too freely available, there's no scarcity surrounding your help. And when your help is freely available and abundant, then it has no value. And if we're looking to do this as a business, if we're looking to have clients that are paying for our services, that are paying for advice, then we have to make our advice scarce. We have to limit the availability. We have to limit how much there is. And the same with your time, and the same with your emails, and the same with your phone calls. If you're willing to get on the phone every time somebody wants to get on the phone with you, then your time on the phone is not scarce, and it has no value. I hope this makes sense. If you're willing to respond to an email every time somebody sends it to you, then that becomes it loses its value. So there's lots of ways that we're going to want to apply scarcity to the coaching business, and scarcity is not a word that the coaching community likes. I mean, we identify with abundance, but we've got to apply it in a slightly different way here. We've got to be smart about it, and we've got to apply it in a way that is going to allow us to really leverage our services and really allow us to build a business. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's go on now to talk. We've talked about it a little bit, but let's go on to talk about how we're going to apply, or how some ways that we can apply these principles of persuasion and influence to a coaching business. Now, this would be a great time to get the worksheet out, get your worksheet, and make some notes as to how you can apply these principles to the various aspects of your business. So as I've said before, these principles, they can be very counterintuitive, and they can be very uncomfortable to implement. Positioning ourselves, in a position of authority is uncomfortable for some people. Pushing yourself forward, creating scarcity is uncomfortable for some people. A lot of these principles can be very uncomfortable, and the tendency is to go with the path of least resistance and to go with what's comfortable and what feels good. But again, let's go back to the Pareto principle of 80-20. If the easiest path was the right path, then everybody would have the results. If the intuitive way of doing things was the right way of doing things, then everybody would have the results. Because that's what everybody's doing. The coaches that are getting the really, really good results, the really high level results, and the ones that are able to service their clients at the highest levels, are doing things in a way that's counterintuitive and sometimes quite uncomfortable to start with. So I just want you to be aware of that as we go into this. So first, we just kind of hit on this a little bit, but let's go into it in some more detail. So scarcity. So applying scarcity to a coaching business is absolutely critical. So the first thing I say is, don't be too readily available. Make your time scarce. If your clients don't value you, if your clients take you for granted, you won't be able to serve them. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So in order for you to serve your clients at the highest level, in order for them to look at you as an authority, to look at you as the person that has the map and the solution to their situation and to their problems, you have to have authority. You can't be taken for granted. And if you make your time too readily available, like we've just talked about, if you take all the phone calls, if you answer all the emails, then that's going to devalue your time, it's going to devalue your service, it's going to devalue your product, it's going to get less results, it's going to get lower level results. You're not going to get the testimonials, you're not going to serve the clients at a very high level, and it's just lose, lose, lose for everybody. So you want to make your time scarce so that your time is valued. And if your time is valued, then people show up knowing that they have a limited opportunity to talk to you, and they're going to be prepared, they're going to be ready. You know, if you know you've only got 1 hour to speak this week with your coach, and you've got a bunch of questions that you want answered, you're going to be ready. You're going to show up on time. You're going to get the whole hour. You're going to have the questions ready to go, and you're going to show up present. You're going to show up ready to participate. You're going to show up with a pen and a notepad, and you're going to get some results. If you know you can call that coach anytime, day or night, then you're not going to show up with that level of participation. You're not going to play at that higher level. So that, I think, is enough said about that. So the next thing is you're going to want to make your products with limited availability. Again, it's a very similar principle. It's a lower priced product available in large numbers doesn't have the value of a higher priced product in limited numbers. Diamond versus glass is the same principle. It is a great analogy to go with that. You know, in reality, what is the difference between diamond and glass? Absolutely nothing. A diamond has no practical use unless you want to cut concrete with it as in a tool. Very few people are qualified to tell the difference between diamonds and glass. 99% or more of the population, if you showed them a glass ring and told them it was a diamond, they wouldn't know any different. But glass or diamonds rather have a price tag of 10,000 times more than glass. Why? Because of scarcity. And you want to apply this principle with your products. You're better off having a limited number of products at a higher price than an abundant number of products at a lower price. Because, the next point is that nothing cheap is scarce. Nothing at a lower price is scarce. I mean, I can't think of one thing that's scarce that has a low price point on it. Again, when we get into looking at raising fees and pricing products and stuff like that, we're going to want to look at this principle of nothing cheap is scarce, creating scarcity. Putting a higher price on it is creating that scarcity, and that's very, very important. Which, the flip side of that is high price equals high quality. Again, there's very few things that are high quality that are cheap because they just can't be. You think high quality furniture is handmade generally. High quality clothing is made from more expensive materials. It's whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's like if it's high quality, then generally it's a higher price. So, and that's another one of the clickware responses. Is that quality or price equals quality. So higher price equals higher quality. Again, looking at this from a perspective of actually serving your client and getting your client the result by charging a higher price, you're actually putting the idea in their mind that it's a higher quality service, they're going to take it more seriously. And if you combine that with the other scarcity elements of time and so on and so forth, you're actually serving your client at a much, much higher level by doing this. You're actually getting them to take the training seriously. You're getting them to show up and participate. Because clients get better results when they take you more seriously. It's as simple as that. I can't tell you the number of products that I've bought over the last 5 years that cost less than $50 or less than $100, and a lot of them I didn't even show up for. I looked at the first training video or read the first PDF, and that was it. Didn't go through the whole course. But I've also bought $10,000 plus products that were in a different country, and I made darn sure I showed up for that. I got on a plane and I showed up, and I had a recorder with me, a tape recorder, and I recorded the workshops, and I made diligent notes. What was the difference? It was the price point. So anyway, enough of that. I think we've covered that. Let's move on to the next point. Liking. So again, fairly self-explanatory this one, but how do we want to use this in the business to really start to get that irresistible influence, to get people to move towards us, to start moving in our direction? Well, the easiest way is going to be to tell your story, to let people know who you are, what you've done. Let them get to see your personality. Uh, Everybody on this call, everybody on this training right now, I've spoken with you personally, and you're all very pleasant to talk to. You all have great stories. You're very engaging, and it's like it's that personality that allows somebody to like you. An image of a product isn't going to make somebody like you. Whatever isn't going to make somebody like you. It's you. And you've got to tell your story. You've got to let your personality shine through and really come out, and you want to accentuate that and focus on that. And some ways to do that is video. In a modern age where social media is so prevalent, video is an awesome way to do that, or audio even. If you've got an iPhone or a smartphone, or which everybody does pretty much, I think, or if you've got a laptop with a webcam on it, just get in front of it and record a video. It doesn't have to be high quality. Again, it's not high quality production that makes somebody like you. It's you. It's your personality. It's the little things about you that people like, and that's going to come through with or without high quality production. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about editing. When we're putting videos together, when I'm helping clients put videos together, I've got a no editing rule. We're allowed to hit the pause button if you need to cough or something, but that's it. There's no editing. It's a one-shot deal because I want it to be authentic. I want it to be real. I don't want it to be highly polished, but not real, if you see what I mean. So video, start using video. Start to get your story out there. Start to identify with your story and let other people identify with your story. Next one is authority, and I've got here, borrow authority. Authorities can be quite difficult sometimes, especially if you're relatively new and you haven't had big partners promote you, or you don't have celebrity status in your industry yet. You don't have that authority naturally. But what you can do is you can start to borrow authority from others. You can start to borrow their authority. So if you have a client that has success, you can start to borrow their success. If you can talk about, for example, I have clients that are very well known in the marketing industry, and I'll name those particular clients from time to time. I don't have the level of success in the internet marketing community they do, but by borrowing their authority, by naming them, and of course you have to have their permission to do that, and it has to be consensual, but by naming them as a client and by talking about their success, that success is then inferred to you, it's then implied into your business, and that's a great way to start building that authority if you don't have it yet. And of course, all of these principles, they kind of snowball. Once you have the authority, you can start to build the social proof, and as you build the social proof, you get more clients. As you get more clients, you get more testimonials. As you get more testimonials, you attract bigger clients, and it all starts to snowball. And this is how it works. This is how we actually start to build our own authority to where people want to be associated with us. Next one is social proof, and we just kind of hit on that a little bit. We've talked about that a little bit. What we talked about was testimonials. Testimonials are very, very important, very, very powerful. And if you don't have any, then it's going to be very important to start collecting those testimonials immediately, as soon as you can. And as with a lot of these elements that we want to start pulling together to build a successful coaching business and to be really magnetic and irresistible to potential clients and to have people coming to us instead of us going out to them, is we've got to be a little bit creative to start with. We've got to start to think outside of the box. Again, Pareto principle, 80-20. Most people will say, "Well, I don't have very many clients. I can't. Where do I get testimonials from?" Well, you got to think about this stuff. You can't accept that. That's why most people, the people in the 20% or the 80% rather, will just stop there. They'll just accept that. They say, "Well, I haven't got any clients, and I can't get clients without testimonials, so therefore I'm in a catch-22, and this is just not fair." Whereas the people in the 20% will think outside of the box, say, okay, how can I get some testimonials? How can I get this working for me? And there's always somebody that you can coach. There's always somebody. You got friends, you got family, you've got people that have come to you and said they really want your coaching, but they can't afford your fees. Well, just give it to them. Say, okay, I'll coach you. That's fine. I really want to work with you. I understand you can't pay my fee right now, but how about a testimonial? Because that's a fee. That's a very, very high fee. If you don't have testimonials, and as a result of coaching somebody for a period of time, you start to collect testimonials. Well, that's going to allow your business to grow much more rapidly. So you want to start thinking out of the box a little bit like that and thinking, how can I get testimonials? Who can I talk to? Who can I work with? It's going to give me a testimonial. Hopefully that makes sense, because it's very important. The more you can get, the more success you're going to have, and the easier it's going to be for you to enroll clients. Because of course the other element with testimonials is that you want testimonials that are relevant to a specific client in an enrollment situation. So if you're talking to a client who's trying they're at £300 and they want to get down to £200, and you can say, Okay, well, I understand you're at £300. I have a client that I worked with just months ago that was exactly in your situation. He was at £305 when we started out in January, and by October of that year, we was able, through the process that we go through, to get him down to £110, and he's stayed at that £110 since then. That's going to be really, really powerful, as opposed to a testimonial along the lines of saying, so and so helped me lose weight. You see the difference? One speaks directly to that person's situation, the other one is very generic. Because that potential client might say, well, okay, yeah, I believe that that person lost weight, but they weren't at £300 and they didn't lose £100. They're not going to think that your service is relevant to them. So I hope that makes sense. Next one is commitment and consistency. And the way you're going to want to really employ this, and this is where it can kind of get a little bit uncomfortable sometimes for some people, is that you don't want to allow people to sit on the fence. And commitment and consistency principle is a great way to get them off the fence. Now, as a coach, it's your job to get people to make decisions. People will defer a decision if they can. They will not make it, especially if it's a financial decision, they're going to put it off. Even if they've decided they want to do it, they're going to put it off if they can. So you don't want to allow people to sit on the fence. You can't allow them to remain in their situation. They have to acknowledge their situation. So, for example, let's go back to a weight loss situation where somebody is £300 and they say, yeah, you know what, I know I need to lose weight, and I'm going to do it at some point. That you can't allow them to stay there. You have to get them to acknowledge their situation. You have to really dig deep and say, what's going to happen if you don't solve this issue? If you stay at £300, what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to have a heart attack. Well, you're going to have a heart attack sooner or later, probably sooner. And what's the result of that? Say, well, I could well die. Well, is that what you want? Yes or no? Is that what you want? Do you want to die? You can't see what's happening there is you're not allowing that person to sit on the fence. You're not allowing them to stay in their situation. You've got to the point where they now understand the consequence of their situation, and they need to make a decision. They're either willing to accept it, or they're not willing to accept it. And if you can get them to commit to not accepting it at that point, then you're much closer to enrolling them as a client. And not just that, you've just helped them tremendously. You've just opened their eyes to their situation. Most people are just not aware of how bad their situation actually is. We're going to cover that a lot more. We're going to go into a lot more detail on that in, I think, module 4, later modules in the course. But just be aware of that for now. Then reciprocation. Easiest way to use the reciprocation principle is always to be giving. Give as gain. You just be detached from getting something back. Don't give something because you want something back. Give something because you want to give. Give something because it's the right thing to do. And if you give enough value to enough people, that's going to be reciprocated back to you at some point, at some level. I really am a big believer that no work, no effort gets unrewarded. If you perform an act of value today, it will be rewarded at some point in the future. Now, it may not be rewarded by the person that you've given the value to, and it may not be rewarded today, it may be at some point in the future, but I really do believe that any value given will be rewarded by at least a factor of 5 at some point in the future. So the easiest way to get the reciprocation principle working in your business is just always be giving. Just have a genuine heart to help. Just have a genuine heart to see people's lives and situations improve. And then I've added contrast, and it's not technically one of the principles, but it's a very powerful one. Now, the reason I put contrast is because people don't have the ability to think in absolutes. We just simply can't think in absolutes. We think in terms of comparison. So if I just throw a number out there, say $5,000, is that a lot of money or is that a little bit of money? Well, it depends on what you're comparing it to. 5,000 compared to a million is not very much. 5,000 compared to 10 is a heck of a lot. So the way that you're going to want to really implement this in your business is you're going to want to use price contrast to make your services appear much more valuable. A great example would be if you're having a conversation, then you can just kind of casually drop in. If you're a business coach, for example, you could say, well, to get an MBA from Harvard University today costs you $250,000. That's a lot of money for an MBA, right? That's a lot of money, $250,000. You're going to learn everything that you learn on a Harvard MBA, but you're going to learn only what's relevant. You're going to get a lot of information there that you don't need, and if you learn it through the program that we have set up to do this, it's not going to cost you $250,000. It's only going to cost you $3,000. Do you see how 3,000 all of a sudden starts to become a very reasonable number? Whereas if you just start out, we've got a business training program and it costs $3,000. Are you interested? Not so much. You see the difference there? I hope you see the difference. So you always want to get big numbers into the conversation earlier on. That's the easiest way to use contrast. Again, we're going to look at more ways to package this up and put it all together into making it into one big, irresistible package where people are just really excited about working with you, really, really happy to pay your fees, really coming to you and asking you if they can work with you, as opposed to you going to them asking if they want to work with you. Okay, so the easiest and best ways to apply these principles, all of them, I mean, we've kind of hit on them throughout this training, is to raise your prices. I mean, by raising your prices, you're going to get a lot of these principles handled straight away. And, I would say that it's not only desirable to raise your prices, it's you owe it to your clients to charge higher fees. It's in your client's interest. If you can't serve at a higher level if you have low fees, as we've kind of touched on. I've made a list here, and these are some of the reasons why you should be raising your fees. And we're going to talk about fees more as the course goes on. But these are some of the reasons why it's really, really very important, if not imperative, that you raise the fees. And I'm talking about a lot generally. Most people that I work with, their fees need to be raised by generally a factor of 10 or more. That big numbers. They need to go up a lot. And these are some of the reasons why the fees need to be raised. First one is it creates exclusivity within your brand, which allows you to attract better quality clients. Now let's think how that works in an external world situation. You know, which is the better automobile, Mercedes-Benz or Ford? Well, the reality is that they're probably very similar, but Mercedes holds a much higher place in the marketplace. It holds much more esteem in people's minds. People are happy to pay a higher fee for a Mercedes. Now, I do think that Mercedes is a better automobile than a Ford. It's going to last longer, but it's certainly not 3 times better, or it's certainly not going to last 3 times longer. Although it is a better automobile in my opinion, the multiple that you pay to have it isn't 3 times better. But look at the clientele that Mercedes attracts. It gets people that are that are operating and that are playing at a much higher level. Second reason is that your clients are just simply not going to take action if the cost is too low. You might enroll more clients, maybe. I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced that that's true. You may enroll more clients, but they're not gonna take action. And it's like, as I kind of touched on earlier on, we're not really in this just for the money. We're in it to add value. We're in it to effectuate change. We're in it to make people's lives better, to make a contribution to the world. And if your clients, even if they've enrolled in your program at a low cost, if they're not taking action, then what's the point? They're just not going to take action at low cost. It's that's just a fact. Right. The next one is at a higher price, the client must step up to meet you, not you step down to meet them. And this kind of ties in with the uh, you've got to change your mindset to they need you more than you need them. They need your help more than you need their business. And if your fees are high, or if they're a stretch, if they're uncomfortable, then they have to stretch to meet you. They have to demonstrate that they're ready to step up. They have to demonstrate that they want to change, and they do that by having to take an action that's quite uncomfortable sometimes, and with something that's very important to them, their money. So when they make that decision for you, then they've really not just made a decision for you, they've made a decision to improve their lives. And again, you're just playing at a much higher level now. Now, if you've got a client that you tell them your fee is $1,000 a month, and then they say they can't afford it, and you say, well, okay, well, I'll do it for 200. You've just stepped down to them. You've just demonstrated that you need their business more than they need your help, and you're just putting your business on the wrong foundation if you do that. Next one is high fees create curiosity. If you have a $10,000 signature program, people wonder what's in that program. Curiosity is a very, very powerful tool. It's we can really use curiosity to our advantage. So a higher fee, if you have a $50 a month membership site, people are not necessarily curious about what's in that membership site. If you've got a $10,000 a month membership site, people are going to want to know what's there. It's going to get people talking. It's going to get people interested. So high fees create curiosity. And conversely to that, but on the same page really, low prices create low desire levels. Who desires to own a piece of glass for $3? I don't know anybody that's been saving up to buy a piece of glass for $3. But lots of people save up to buy a $10,000 diamond. The price does impact the desire level massively. Next one is it creates a desire to belong to your tribe. Now, tribe is a term that we use in the coaching community. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it as people we speak to, people that are in our circle of influence, people that we're influenced by, our group of people. And we're going to get into the concept of a tribe in later trainings. But by having a high price training, it creates a desire to belong to that group of people. It creates a tribe that's exclusive. If you've got 20 people in a $10,000 program, say, or you've got 500 people in a $50 a month program, which one would you want to belong to? Which one has the more desirability? Which one has the more exclusivity? It's going to, it creates a desire to belong to your group. It creates a desire to belong to your tribe. Next one is it separates players from pretenders. People that are not willing to invest in their future, you don't want to work with them. Of course, I understand there are some people that are physically not able to invest. They just don't have the resources. They're not in the right place. But there's a lot of people out there that will help them and will get them to the next level. If people are not willing to invest in a higher price product to get a higher value service, then you don't really want those people in your business. It's not going to be a lot of fun for you. You're not going to be able to get the results. You're not going to deliver the value. It's just not ideal, which is the next point. It's more fun for you. Having a higher priced program that forces people to participate for all the reasons we've just discussed, that gets the results. It's going to give you satisfaction. It's going to give you enjoyment. It's just much better for everybody. Next problem is low fees make it impossible to create scarcity. We've covered that. Nobody in authority charges low fees. No industry leaders charging low fees. You can't work with Tony Robbins for $200 a month. You can't work with T. Harv Eker for $200 a month. You can't work with Bob Proctor for $200 a month. If you want to work with these people, then it's massive fees, hundreds of thousands, or millions even in some cases. Next reason is higher fees allow you to advertise to grow your business. It's very possible, but it's quite difficult to grow a business without capital. You can do it. It can be done, but it's just easier to advertise. It's just easier to have a marketing budget, and it's just easier. It's just better. I'm a big fan of paid advertising, and the way you do that, you have to have a budget. You have to have capital. And if you're charging higher fees, it allows you to invest more money back into the business. It allows you to invest more money into marketing, and it just allows you to grow your business at a much higher rate. So, next point is low fees makes your services disposable. We've touched on that. I've as I said, I've bought multiple products in the $50 to $100 price range that I just haven't even looked at, or I've spent 5 minutes with and put them to the to-do list and never got to them. A low fee is going to make you disposable, and you definitely don't want that. Next is high fees brings commitment and reliability from clients. We've covered that. And I would say, to close on the fee issue is that it's pretty much impossible to have a successful practice with low fees. You're not gonna succeed charging low fees. Hopefully, we've gone through enough things here. We've covered enough reasons and given you enough reasons to see that that's true. But I really do believe that. I really do believe that it's very difficult or impossible to have a successful practice with charging low fees. So I know I've done this for long enough. I've been doing this for long enough, and I work for enough people to know that some limiting beliefs are probably kicking in right now. And a little voice in the back of your head saying, "I can't raise my fees by 3 times, 5 times, 10 times. My market just won't pay for that." Well, I just want to invite you right now just to suspend that disbelief, because, as I say, we've worked with hundreds of clients that have all successfully raised their fees. It's like your market will pay higher fees. They absolutely positively will, because it's about communicating your value at a higher level. And that's where it is really. It's like, if you feel that your market won't pay the higher fees, it's because you're not communicating your value at a high enough level. They're not really able to see the benefits to what you're going to do for them. I mean, if you look at, let's just take some examples. For example, if you're a relationship coach and you can save somebody's marriage, how much would they pay to have their marriage saved? $10,000, $50,000, $100,000. Yet I work with relationship coaches and marriage counselors, marriage coaches that say, well, all I can charge is $200 a month. Simply not true. If you can save somebody's marriage, then they're going to be willing to pay you a lot of money. The issue is that they don't really believe that you can save their marriage. You're not communicating your value at a very high level. Or health and fitness coaches. Again, we work with a lot of health and fitness coaches, and they say, well, or it's hard to charge more than $50 an hour. It's hard to charge more than $75 an hour. That's what everybody's charging. Well, what about if that person's overweight, and if you don't help them solve that problem, they're going to die. They're going to get diabetes. They're going to get heart disease. They're going to get cancer. Their life is threatened. They're going to be taken from their children prematurely. They're going to leave their wife prematurely. How much would that person pay to avoid that situation? How much would that person pay to avoid that outcome? If you say to that person, look, you're absolutely going to die 100%, but I can save your life. It's $50,000. Would they pay it? The answer to that is absolutely positively yes, they would. So it's not about will somebody pay higher fees. Yes, they absolutely positively will. There's no question that they will. The question is, are you communicating your value at a high enough level to charge those higher fees? And that's what we're really going to start to get into in modules 2 through 6. So that's module 1. I think that's everything covered there. So I hope you enjoyed that.
Hello and welcome back. So hopefully you enjoyed that training and there's something there you can take away and apply to your business, and hopefully if you do that it's going to make you some money right away. So if you enjoy these trainings, if you can see some benefit here and you'd like to work together some more, then we're offering a brand new training right now. I'd like to invite you personally to join us on that training. It's called More Clients, More Results, and we're looking at specifically how to enroll high-ticket PPC and digital consulting clients. So if that's something you're interested in, if that's something you're looking to do and you can see the value of what we're doing here, then there's a link below this video, and I'd like to invite you to enroll in that training program right now. So for those of you who want to take action now, we're offering some fantastic bonuses and offering out a very, very special price as well. You can enroll today for a 65% discount off the retail price. So if you're interested in enrolling more consulting clients, more digital consulting clients and PPC clients, then this is going to be absolutely perfect for you, whether you're a digital agency, whether you're an individual consultant, whether you're just starting out, or whether you're a little bit more experienced. It's going to work for you. So the methodology that we use is systematic, it's step by step, and it's a very low barrier to entry, and it's very low cost to get into the marketplace with it. So if that's something that you're interested in, a systematic step-by-step method to generate PPC clients and digital consultant clients that isn't going to cost you a fortune in advertising to do it, then I'd love to have you in our new training program, More Clients, More Results. I'd love to see you there, and I can't wait to see the results that you're going to get. So there's a link below this screen. If you're interested in doing that, like I say, click on the link, join up now. The 65% discount is for a limited time, then it's going back up to the regular price of $5,500. And there's also some fantastic bonuses you can grab right now for those of you who are ready to take action. So click on the link and I'll see you on the other side.